Right into our top story this morning because it's about Brooks Houck. He'll appear in court this morning for the first time since he was charged with murder of his former girlfriend, Crystal Rogers. She disappeared in 2015. Houck was just arrested last week. He's charged with murder and tampering with physical evidence in connection to the FBI's investigation into Crystal's disappearance. Now, she was last seen in July of 2015. Houck has been a primary suspect ever since. In recent years, the FBI searched several of his properties. According to the indictment, Houck's charges stem from an indictment from July 4th weekend in 2015. Again, that was the last time Rogers was seen alive. Her car was found just a few days later, but it was abandoned on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway. Her keys, her phone, and her purse were all left inside. Federal investigators accuse Houck of intentionally causing her death and destroying, concealing, mutilating, or removing physical evidence in connection to the crime. That brings us to today, Houck's first court appearance. He'll be arraigned in Nelson County Circuit Court, but because he's currently being held in Hardin County, that appearance could be over video conference. At the arraignment, the judge will inform Houck of the charges that are being brought against him. The judge will also advise him of his rights, but there will not be any evidence presented or heard at this appearance. Arraignments are just not designed for that. Houck's defense attorneys have already filed a motion to reduce his $10 million bond to $500,000. They're also asking for special conditions of a GPS monitor and a work release if bond is in fact posted. A judge will hear that motion and decide to keep or change his bond. All of that is set for 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, you might remember Brooks Houck is not the only person charged in connection to Crystal Rogers' case. Joseph Lawson is facing 2 charges, conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. He was indicted back in June and arrested in August. He made a court appearance last month virtually from a hospital bed. The court entered not guilty pleas on his behalf for both charges. Lawson's next court date is set for October 25th. Now, I sat down with WHA11's Shay McAllister, who's been on top of this case for 8 years. That's really unheard of to have that level of longevity on a singular case in a local news market. You can watch our deep dive into the investigation so far on the WHAS11 YouTube page. You can also follow along with updates today and read the full timeline of the Crystal Rogers case up to this point in the free WHAS11 app and at WHAS11.com. New this morning, Metro Police are investigating 2 late-night shootings in South Louisville. The first happened around 10:15 on Briargate Street in PRP. Police say they found a man who'd been shot. He was taken to University Hospital. About a half hour after that, a man was shot at 3rd and Amherst Avenue in the Southside neighborhood. Police say he was also taken to University Hospital. Both men are expected to survive, but as of this morning, there are no suspects in either shooting. Metro Police are also looking into a triple shooting in the Iroquois neighborhood where a man was killed. Police say it happened on Lyndhurst Avenue near Taylor Boulevard just after 8 o'clock last night. 3 people were found shot, including a 17-year-old who was grazed by a bullet. 1 man died at the scene. The 2 others who were hurt were taken to the hospital. Police say they do have all parties accounted for in this shooting. This morning, Jamarcus Glover, a key figure in the Breonna Taylor case, has another warrant out for his arrest after failing to show up to court. His scheduled appearance yesterday was for drug trafficking charges. Glover was arrested last weekend in connection to the investigation into the death of a 13-year-old girl who died from a fentanyl overdose. Investigators say Glover was using kids to help him traffic drugs out of a home on Taylor Boulevard. He posted a $20,000 cash bond and was told he must show up for all court dates. But yesterday, Glover was nowhere to be found.
Jamarcus Glover.
Your Honor, I've called for Mr. Glover in the hallway and in the courtroom. He is not answering. I will note to the court that he was on probation out of Division 3, and they issued a arrest warrant based on these cases for violating his probation and $100,000. That warrant's active. I'm not anticipating Mr. Glover joining us today, so it's my motion for a bench warrant for him not being here today.
Glover was the original target of the police raid that led to the death of Breonna Taylor in 2020. At the time, police believed he was receiving packages at Taylor's home. He was arrested on drug charges the night Taylor was killed and was sentenced to home incarceration and a 5-year probation period. The Jefferson County Commonwealth's attorney is expected to ask a judge to have that probation revoked on Monday. Right now, there is a big push to bring more businesses and foot traffic to downtown Louisville, and the Louisville Metro Council is hoping a $3 million incentive will help. One business owner is hoping it'll do much more than that. WHAS 11's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie have that story.
Pre-pandemic, most of downtown Louisville was booming with tons of businesses and people. The downtown Bristol Bar and Grill is full of diners heading to see Wicked at the Kentucky Center. But TJ Oakley, the executive vice president, says the Main Street location downtown once had a steady lunch crowd. Then it changed in 2020.
Without having that consistency of our lunch business, it makes it a really volatile situation for restaurants here. It's kind of a feast or famine mode.
Louisville Metro Council approved a $3 million incentive to attract more businesses downtown. That includes a program providing $30 per square foot to office tenants toward physical improvements like construction and permanent fixtures.
There's just a lot of components there that I know is going to make this really attractive for businesses to come back downtown.
One major company, LG&E, announced it's moving out of its downtown tower across from the Yum Center, where it once occupied 14 floors. The lease ends in 2025. LG&E told us it was the most cost-effective decision for their employees and customers.
And we've determined that this obviously is the right choice for us to be able to use the Broadway office location and expand there and invest there.
However, David Nickley's president and CEO of Nickley's Development is critical of the move by LG&E, calling it devastating for downtown. He says there needs to be a stronger dialogue between the city and major companies to keep them downtown.
Well, I think you need to reach out to your LG&Es, your main employers downtown, find out where they are, what they think needs to be done.
In Louisville, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 on your side.
LG&E says it also plans to move some of its employees to eastern Jefferson County to the East Point Center. The move will also include some Kentucky Utilities employees.